an account of a trip that I made some years ago, and intended to prepare some Irish lads with a visit to New York for the first time. And it's hard to know sometimes when you're trying to entertain people what you should show them if in a limited period of time in a strange city where they've never been before. In this case, I was consulting with the Irish government on nutrition and actually how to spend $3 million in 6 months for a public relations campaign because the men were dying of too much dairy products, milk, cheese, eggs, butter, and they were very worried that the diet of Irishmen was so bad. They forgot to mention that the Irishmen drink a great deal of Guinness and whiskey, and that was more likely killing them than any eggs, butter, or cheese. Anyway, it was my job to introduce nutrition and balance to the Irish populace by a nutrition program. With $3 million to spend in 6 months, it was really quite a challenge. I was based in Vancouver, but I had traveled back from Africa and stopped off for 10 days and ended up spending this time in Dublin. So, amongst other things, I suggested to them that what they really should do is go to America, because America led the way in nutrition in the latest research, and they love that idea. Because America, of course, to the Irish is a second home. It's where the Irish went when nobody else would have them. They went to America. So you have today, out of a population of 300 million, you have probably about 50 million of Irish ancestry. And you know about the Irish cops in New York and in Chicago and so on, San Francisco. They're very famous for that. So the Irish have this strong connection with America. And of course, millions went over by sea across the Atlantic to Canada, but also to the United States. So I said, look, I tell you what, we'll go to Chicago because that's the center of nutritional research, and we can have all the information we want, and we'll take it back to Ireland and pass it on to the doctors and the nurses and the public health officials. And it'll get rid of some of the $3 million quite easily. So that was a great idea. And who would go with me? Well, they had a consultant called the name of Joseph Murray, and they had the head of the Dairy Council called Noel Gilmore. Noel Gilmore was from County Cork, which is a small little part of the island, way down the south. And Joe Murray was from County Kerry, which is an adjoining county. Think of them as provinces. So I had Murray and Gilmore to come with me. And these two boys were right off the farm. They were delightful characters, and you could hardly understand them when they talked because they talked like that, you know. And they say, we're going to America. And I say, we're going to America, Noel. We are indeed. And what are we going to do there? I said, we're going to New York. We'll spend a night in New York, and then we'll go on to Chicago. Oh my God, he said, this is so exciting. I've always wanted to go to America. This will be fantastic. And Joe Murray said, my God, it's going to be so exciting. What do I have to do? I said, you do nothing. Just come prepared to get lots of knowledge, have a bit of fun, and we'll get home within 5 days. So we flew across the Atlantic on Irish Airlines, arrived in New York, pissed out of our minds, absolutely flutered, get into a hotel in Manhattan, and I fortunately made my way down to the bar. I said, I'll see you at the bar at about 7 o'clock. So I perched myself on the stool at the bar of this hotel in Manhattan, and there was a very attractive young woman sitting to my right. And I thought, well, isn't she lovely? And she said, are you visiting? I said, yes. Where from? I said, Ireland. Oh, I don't know Ireland, she said, but I'm from Germany. And I said, oh, how lovely. You're visiting? She said, well, I've come to live in New York for a while. I said, oh, and where are you from? She said, I'm from Heidelberg, and my name is Helga. I said, Helga from Heidelberg. How lovely that is. So I said, I'm expecting a couple of my friends down in a moment. Oh, she said, great. What are you doing tonight? I said, well, I don't know. Maybe you have some suggestions, Helga. She said, absolutely. What would you like to do? I said, I'd like them to get a taste of New York just in like in a few hours, because we're leaving tomorrow for Chicago. So she said, okay, well, when they come down, I'll give some thought to it. So they arrived. I introduced Noel and Joe, and they said, oh, this is grand. My God, this is a wonderful bar. And is this a beautiful woman now here, Helga from Heidelberg? And we're going to do what? I said, well, Helga, what do you think? She said, well, I think what we should do first of all is go to Studio 54, and there you will meet all the beautiful people of New York. So I said, fine, Studio 54 it is. I'd heard of Studio 54, but Andy Warhol went there and a few other people like that, and I thought, well, this is great. I said, can you get us in? She said, oh, yes, no problem. So we get in a taxi and we go to 54, and I can get in with her, but the two boys can't get in, only to the bar, because they don't have women with them. So they went to the bar, and I said, maybe we can pick up a couple of women, and then you can come into the rest of the Studio 54. Well, after about a half an hour of absolutely fruitless waste of time, except that more drink was taken, of course, which therefore it wasn't a total waste of time, we staggered out, and I said, Helga, we better do something else. She said, well, I tell you what, I would like to go home and change. I said, well, you look stylish to me. She said, yes, but where I'm going to go next, I'll take you to the Plato's Retreat. I said, I've heard of Plato's Retreat. I know nothing about it. She said, well, it's an interesting club where everybody has free sex, and you do as you want to do, and you swim, or you go into the bath, or you go into a private room, or whatever you want to do.
Baby, please don't go